Hey guys! Well, here I am in the beautiful Rancho Cucamonga, on the road again, and this time I'm tattooing out of Money Never Sleeps, or otherwise known as MNS Art Collective. You're probably wondering, where's your tattoo equipment? Where are you going to tattoo? Sure, there's apparel, naked mannequins, and a bunch of things that are pretty creepy but cool at the same time. Wowzers. Yeah. So I come out here and I got a little secret to tell you. Behind this bookshelf lies a hidden gem that we call MNS Art Collective, Part 2. Follow along. Let me show you what I mean. It's kind of cool, kind of spooky. Got the torches. I'm gonna be walking backwards. I don't know what's gonna happen. Actually, I do know what's gonna happen. Into the light I go. Yes, an entire tattoo studio, all from our little place that we call home away from home. MNS Art Collective. Money never sleeps, folks. Here we go with another episode of Beyond the Ink. Hi guys, how's it going? Hi over there in TV land. I bid you hello from Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah, say that 10 times fast.
Rancho Cucamonga, Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah, no, I guess.
It's not gonna happen. Today, I bring to you this gentleman right here. His name is Mark Perez, or Mark Perez.
You gotta say
Or
with the accent.
the Jiu Jitsu King. No, that's
Oh, I can't say that. There's already one king, bro. We can't do that. He's gonna come after me.
I mean, you could say it, but, you know. So Mark here actually is a Jiu Jitsu practitioner. How would you say?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say recently promoted to black belt?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
He will
Thank
whoop
you.
some ass. Yeah. No,
Thank
that's
you.
good. Congratulations on that.
Humbly.
Seriously,
Yeah.
that's fan freaking tastic, brother.
A lot of years of dedication.
Yes, sir. You started obviously white belt. What I want to say, well, before I digress, we are working on a sleeve that we started. What?
Dude, 2012?
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, like mid 2012. I want to say like before me.
Yeah, we were.
It's been a minute. I've been lucky to know Matt for all these years, man.
Yeah, we've known each other forever.
Yeah, dude.
We were
Start off as a tattoo, and then we build a friendship, which is awesome.
Which again, I like to do. I like to not just tattoo, see you later, boom, 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 whatever. I personally like to build those relationships that way. If you know, I mean, you only have a certain amount of skin, but you have friends and you have a network, and I tell people all the time,
Yeah.
you know, having a network is very important. Making sure that you know you treat everybody respectfully, and you know, it's what I try to do. As I stab the shit out of you, and
Oh, good. It's okay. I like
lots
the
of pain. Bring on the pain.
I like the pain.
So we've started from all the way here, all the way there.
No,
That's a cover up, but you can't tell unless you knew or like stared directly at it, and it was just like, oh my god, that's, you know. And again, I am not in my studio. I am in Rancho Cucamonga. I am in Money Never Sleeps, which is, you know, MNS for short, Art Collective. Owned and operated by two of my close friends also, you know, John Atello and Christopher Garcia. Great bunch of guys. So John's actually in Rochester. He's leaving to Rochester tomorrow morning. So it's been kind of cool. And Chris is working on some other pictures, and so when they're not tattooing, they're painting, they're drawing, they're creating a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So let's see. You just got promoted to black belt.
Yeah, this past November 19th.
And how long does that take? Is something like that usually just? I mean, obviously it's not like, hey, the black belt, you know.
Yeah, for the most part, it roughly will take someone 10 years, like your average person. Mm-hmm. There are those outliers. There's people out there who's got like the BJ Penns that do it in 5, the Gio Martinez from 10th Line that would do it in 5 years. You have your guys out there that do it a lot sooner because they're more competitive. They're professionals. But for the average person, it'll take maybe about 10 years. For me, for example, I started back in late 2008, early 2009.
Nice.
And I first started with Gracie Baja. And I was at Gracie Baja and Cerritos under Renato Babaluso Brawl.
Oh, I remember that guy.
He used to be a former fighter for the UFC, and
I
thought the same thing, bro.
I met him a couple times.
When I heard he opened a gym, I was like, hey, I know that guy. I gotta go check it out. For the most part, it was a pretty cool gym. You know, he didn't really teach the classes; he was more the name. Mm-hmm. They had another black belt instructor. Yep. But it was a good experience. Like I enjoyed it. You know, I got to meet people there and stuff. But at that time, it was just too expensive. Like back then, they used to charge $156 a month.
Were you competing back then?
Yeah. That actually, it's funny that's the reason. Like I first signed up, and then they offered me a tournament the very first month, and I was like, oh heck yeah, I'll jump in there. And I had like prior experience doing wrestling. I wrestled like a year and a half in high school. Yeah. I also did Japanese Jiu Jitsu, like Shosharu Jiu Jitsu.
Wait, what's the difference?
Japanese.
For people that don't know, I mean, there's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. There's
the Japanese Jiu Jitsu is more the old school self-defense. It didn't really focus on a lot of groundwork. They would call it Nawaza, but they didn't really Nawaza? Oh, that's the Japanese term they would use. So it was more of the self-defense. The only reason I actually decided to go and try out that well, it wasn't even at an academy, dude. It was at a YMCA.
Really?
Yeah, YMCA in Downey. Like shout out to YMCA in Downey. They're still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with Sensei John, if he's still there. I decided to jump back in there and like learn the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu because that's the only thing I could afford. I couldn't find at that time. I was in high school.
Yeah.
I want to say I was 15 years old, and so I would bike to the YMCA and I saw them doing Jiu-Jitsu and they had gis and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out, see what's up. And I was lucky that I met 3 guys there that they also trained groundwork. And they weren't doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but they trained grappling.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool, you know, I'll test you guys. Then the third guy that I met, his name was Ray Vega. Okay. And he was a brown belt at the time, I believe, under Higan Machado. Uh-huh. But he also used to train at at Shosharu, like at that style, right? I think he had recently received his black belt. I wasn't too sure when I had met him. But he was like, yeah, man, you know, I'll help you out. Like, we can go over some stuff. And so every Monday, Wednesday, that's where you could find me. You could find me there from 7 to like 10 o'clock at night at the YMCA just practicing with them. So that was like my first exposure of it. You know, after that, you know, like, you know, your parents sit you down and be like, well, you know, you got to try to find a job.
Wait, so how old were you when you started? When you first started.
So when I first started,
I want to roll around with guys.
Yeah, no homo. I mean, super homo. No,
sweaty guys.
Sweaty guys.
That's all it is.
But I mean, I guess we could start off with
testicles.
Oh, the apricot ears.
Yeah, so we're gonna coin a new phrase because I don't know who came up with cauliflower ears.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
But they don't look like cauliflower. They look like those dried apricots. You know, the fruit that's just I don't know. Apricot ears. You can hashtag that. Comment down below. Tell me what you think of. It might be a little too hard to say. Cauliflower.
Yeah, cauliflower, apricot.
Dude,
apricot ears.
Cauliflower gives you
this
gas.
One looks like a vagina for some reason. Yeah, that's another story. I'll tell you guys.
You're all faint in the middle of the night. Oh.
Whoa.
What's going on?
No,
this isn't for children. I know this.
I guess I could start off when I first started martial arts. I first started martial arts when I was 9. I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And
who got you started in martial arts?
Well, it's funny you say that because the only reason I started martial arts was because I got beat up at a family party by a cousin of a cousin.
No shit.
Yeah, so they roughed me up pretty bad, and this ended up like escalating to an argument between my parents, and my mother decided, you know what, I'm gonna just put him in karate. She was yelling at my dad like, you never taught him how to fight, so this is why this is going on.
Did you get your ass kicked, or was it just more
you know what? It wasn't really like where I got my ass kicked. It was more where I got slapped around, and I guess for a 9-year-old, it's still pretty traumatizing, right?
In our culture, getting punked or slapped around, that's kind of frowned upon.
Yeah, and the Hispanic culture, especially because my family used to do, my dad's side of the family used to do this thing where they would put gloves on the sons, and they'd have them box it out. Yeah. But my mother was very protective, so she never really allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
So then that ended up happening, and then soon after that, following week, they brought me to this karate place. And it's funny because it doesn't exist anymore, but it was in Downey. I grew up in Downey, and it was off of Imperial Highway and Lakewood. It was called the Ultimate Karate Center. Right, and it was a big old
karate center.
Yeah, it was a big old place. You walk in there, and there was all these kids and teenagers and adults, like black belt instructors, and and so they kind of sold the whole package to my parents. And so for the next 3.5 years, I trained karate, and then I ended up getting my black belt in that, right? What they call the teenage black belt, because I was 13, 14 at the time already.
Well, that's cool.
And it was cool, but I realized something was missing. Yeah. When I was like an orange belt, I want to say. Yeah. Maybe, like an orange or a green belt. It's hard to remember, but I just remember I was in, it was like 5th grade. I remember there was this other classmate that I had, and like, I don't know why we got into an argument. I don't know why he was like.
Yeah. And she kicked my ass.
I know, right? No, that's another story I'll tell you guys. But I don't know why he was so, what's called, aggressive, right? I don't know what happened that we got into an argument. He got aggressive with me, and for some reason we're like, all right, man, I'm gonna meet you in the restroom, and we're gonna throw down. Yeah. Like, let's do this. Yeah. So then I show up at the restroom. He shows up at the restroom with his friends, and then his buddy starts circling around me. So I'm over here thinking like I'm in a blood sport, showdown, like Van Damme, Bruce Lee style, you know, Fist of Fury. Yeah. And so as soon as I turn back to look at his friend, this guy just charges at me and like just tackles me, right? Tackles me. He mounts me, he sits on me, and then he just looks at me and he's like, do you give up? And I'm over here, and this kid was a lot bigger than me, right? I think I was like 90 pounds at the time, so he had to be like 120, 130, chubby little Mexican dude. Yeah. And I just remember like looking like so disappointed, and I was like, man, I've been training karate for like over a year.
But I got no ground game.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I can't do anything from here, so I just remember like disappointed, like just my disappointed feeling and just saying, you know what, all right, I give up, man. I'm done. And that same week after that happened, I remember going to one of the instructors and be like, hey, like, how can I get out of this if someone does this to me? You know, like if I'm trying to defend myself. And they couldn't give me...
He's all, I don't know.
They couldn't give me a straight answer. They couldn't, Wow. And like, it was just kind of a little disappointing where it's like, I'm training karate. I thought this was like, like...
The cure-all.
The cure-all, like, heck yeah, And so I realized there was something missing. I just didn't know it back then. Like, it was just, all right, something's up. So later along the line, I go to high school. I end up trying out for wrestling. I thought, like, at first, I thought, like, okay, cool, wrestling's cool. I'd seen the UFC prior. You know, one of the guys that I really looked up to in the UFC was Tito Ortiz. Yep. And I remember him beating up one of my my WWF idols, man. He beat up Ken Shamrock, and I was like so disappointed. I was like, oh man, why did he do it? And
you Ken.
I just remember the commentators like, oh, it's because his wrestling, his ground and pound. He has such a great wrestling pedigree. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I gotta check out this wrestling. Like, what is this? So yeah, I remember trying out, and I tried out for the team. I didn't know anything. They didn't really teach us much. Like back then, it was like Lord of the Flies. Yeah, it was Lord of the Flies. You kind of had to just like learn as you're doing. But I remember that first year, I made a friend, and his name is Gio Martinez. Like I remember him coming in, dude, cocky Cuban dude, good looking guy, just coming in here, in shape. Yeah. He would come in. I remember he distinguished that he had a medal that it was the Cuban island, and he came in, and I just remember he's saying like, oh yeah, I'm a submission grappler. Like, and I was like, oh, submission grappler. I was like, he's like, yeah. He's like, you ever heard of Gracie Jiu Jitsu? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I used to train Gracie Jiu Jitsu. He's like, I don't like training in the gi.
Well, back then everything was Gracie Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? Those names sound familiar. I've seen that, Gracie Jiu Jitsu. You said submission grappler. I've watched the UFC before, especially the early days.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm 14 years old. I was like, all right.
You were
cool.
14 at the time.
Yeah, I was already wrestling. I was 14. I kind of threw the whole karate thing behind me. I was like, I'll still kickbox and stuff, but there's got to be something else, right? Let me try this wrestling now. And so I remember our first match, bro. Like, we just got to know each other. Like, in the room is a big old wrestling room. Just picture, if you've ever seen a wrestling room, Google wrestling room. Just imagine these big mats, matted walls. We had 2 big old heaters that I didn't know what they were there for. I found out that season, but I remember
for cutting weight.
For cutting weight, and I just remember, like, we sat there. We had introduction. I had my brand new wrestling shoes, like A6 wrestling shoes. I bought at Big Five.
Yeah, I was gonna say, good old Big Five. Dude.
And I just remember my friend Gio was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Why you want to grapple? You want to wrestle and stuff?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, man. I've grappled a little bit in karate. Like, I don't know much. I grew up watching WWE, so I'll try it out, bro."
I'm gonna Rey Mysterio your ass.
So I just remember him letting me take him down. He just went straight into guard, and I was like, all right, cool, I remember watching Tito Ortiz, like, all right, I gotta just sit inside this guard, Yeah, I know what this is. And I just remember him spinning his hips, isolating one arm, and just tap me out, bro, like, in a matter of seconds.
You're like...
And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, nah, bro, let's roll again, I told him.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we rolled like two, 3 more times. And then after, I was like, bro, show me, like, how'd you do that? And he's like, nah, I'm not gonna show you. He just got up and walked away. And I was like, damn, this jerk. Yeah, and I was like, but we became friends, right? We would always roll and stuff, and I was like, all right, I gotta find out what this is. Like, I gotta start. So back then, it's crazy. I used to go to the library, and you can find books. You can find, like, judo books. You can find grappling, like, Sambo. There used to be a famous magazine back in the day, Grappling Magazine, Black Belt Magazine, Martial Arts Magazine. Yeah. And there was a certain uprising in Jiu-Jitsu and in grappling. So I started, like, cutting out.
Well, again, the surge was... the Gracies.
Yeah.
Enzo Gracie and Hoist Gracie and Helio Gracie, and everything was with any type of mixed martial arts or the UFC. The Gracies were like...
Yeah, they started off. Like, if you go into their history, like, they started it off, and then they created MMA off of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu name.
For sure.
And so, I started researching this stuff, and that's, like, slowly where the internet had just came up. YouTube was brand new. I want to say this was like 2002, maybe 2003.
You have mail.
Yeah, 2000, like maybe 2003.
Yeah.
And I remember finding certain videos online, and I was like, oh, dude, you find these, like, Vale Tudo fights. That was the term in Portuguese that we use for freestyle fighting, Vale Tudo, everything goes.
Yeah. And
so I was like, oh, look, they're doing jiu-jitsu, or they're doing, like, I didn't know what it was. I was like, all right, it looks... So I remember Googling jiu-jitsu, right? Or, like, back then it wasn't even MMA, it was called No Holds Barred, NHB. Yeah. But I remember I Googled it, and when I put jiu-jitsu, that's when the Japanese jiu-jitsu place popped up, and it was at the YMCA, at the Downey YMCA.
Oh, shit.
I was like, okay, Shoshin-ryu. I was like, never heard of this. It's like, it came from Danzan-ryu, which was from Japan, and then it went from Danzan, from Japan to Hawaii, and then it was mixed with, like, Kung Fu, I think, but they focused on the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu self-defense. Yeah. And then that's where that started. I started going there, I started doing the Japanese style, and that's where I got lucky, and I met those gentlemen that were like, we roll, like, we do, they didn't even call it rolling back then, bro. They just called it grappling. Yeah, let's grapple, Yeah. And, I remember that was that time. It was like a year and a half that I did it, and then that's when my parents gave me that talk. Like, being a fighter is not really gonna get you anywhere. Maybe opening your own school won't get you anywhere. You gotta find, like, an actual job. And I mean, I get it from their perspective. It's like, their parents, and it was my mom and my stepdad.
Like, you're ruining my dream.
Yeah, basically, because I mean, that was the way I sold it to them, and maybe that's what scared them. I told them, like, hey, I want to be a professional fighter. Like, I want to do this no holds barred. I want to do what they're calling now MMA, and it's like, this is my dream. This is what I see myself doing, and I want to be an instructor and have my own academy, and like, they didn't see it from my vision, right? Well, which I understand. Most parents
don't see, what you really want to do, or they see it as like, Oh, that's gonna
Yeah.
take a lot of extra commitment and whatever. And
Yeah, and back then that's all it was. Like, so I mean, I get it. I went to school. I tried to do the normal, 9 to 5, and
Yeah.
I went from being like a barista at a company I'm not gonna name, and to being a mechanic assistant, a tire installer. I would do all this stuff, and I just realized like, I'm going to school for automotive, and it's like it's not really what I want to do. It's not really what I want to.
You went to
Yeah, I went to Cerritos College to
Yeah.
do the automotive program for them, and I didn't even finish it because I just, like I said, I was working at a dealer. Like they weren't really accepting that school, and it was like it was nonsense.
Yeah.
But I just realized like I gotta find something else. So I started looking for martial arts gyms. Like I found a Muay Thai gym I trained at for a little bit.
Yeah.
I found another hole in the wall MMA gym that I trained at for a little bit, and originally. What happened was I lost my job at the dealership, right? I found that Gracie Baja, and I had my last check. Like they used to pay us every 2 weeks back then, bi-weekly. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save this check. I think it was like $500, and I was like, my grandmother wasn't charging me. I was like, with my grandmother, she was not charging me rent, and I was like, I'm gonna put this money towards jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna just do, And their academy's still there, but it's
Going for it.
It's in Cerritos. It's Cerritos, what's it called, California.
Yeah.
And I remember just going in there and like, I just told them like, no man, like I want to be here at the gym. I want to train. I want to compete. I want to be a fighter one day. And they're like, all right, cool. And the very first month I was at Gracie Ball. They're like, all right, cool, come compete, man. Like we have this tournament coming out. It's an in-house at No Limits in Irvine. That gym's not there anymore, but
yeah.
it was an in-house tournament. We went in there. I believe I got second place. But yeah, it was a great experience, and like I said, unfortunately, there were some politics issues going on at the gym, and they kind of overcharged me one month, and I couldn't afford it, so they just froze my account, and then that was my short stint at Gracie Baja,
Did they just like, oh, we fucked up your account, sorry, dude.
No, what happened is, they told me, they said, oh, we apologize, we didn't mean to charge you. Like, even though you asked us to not charge you, so. And I was like, all right. I was like, well, I don't have any more money. Like, I can't train. And I was actually pulling to try to get a job there, but they got somebody else for the job. So to kind of work the academy and stuff.
So were you gonna be like at this point? What belt were you?
Oh, I was still a white belt, dude. I was only 5 months in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with them. Yeah, that's all I had. Like, I kind of put it up in the air where it's like, you know what? I have this cash. I'm gonna invest it in this. And then we're just see where this goes.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and I mean, unfortunately, like things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I agree.
So they froze my account, and I never really went back. And so after that, I was doing some like odd jobs. I was working at a friend's auto shop, and
he was a stripper.
I should have. You're right. I was young. I was pretty flexible. I could have made some good money.
Oh, I could lick my own back.
Yeah, back.
Yeah, dude, how many hours do you think? I don't know. We've got quite a few
Oh,
hours.
quite a few years.
Quite a few years. Now, I know that sounds funny. I know I work slow, but I don't work that slow. It's just, again, state to state.
No, it's
schedules and all these different things. You competed. There are some times where,
No, it's been a journey.
Yes.
Like in the sleeve.
Yeah. But I like it. It's coming along.
Oh, I love it too.
So nicely and finally,
Yeah. That's why I never rushed it. That's always just like, let Matt take his time, do it right, and if the universe aligns, we'll get it done.
Right.
And that's kind of like how I looked at the sleeve. Just
I think
it's a journey, bro.
And I think it's funny how like you and I met through Joanna, right? And now we spend more time than.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So through your wife.
Yeah. Through my wife, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew you through another
who
friend?
knew me through someone else.
Yeah.
So was introduced to me.
Yeah.
And then I was introduced to you.
Yeah,
and now you have more tattoos than she does.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sleeve.
That's how it works sometimes.
It became a race, and it's just I think I just creatively beat her at that. Like.
Right. Just now she's like.
She's trying to catch up.
Trying to catch up. Love you, Joe.
Oh, I love you, babe.
Aw. So, yeah, no, that's cool. it's weird how the universe works.
Yeah, it's just,
You know?
I still remember. Do you remember that day we went to your house when you lived in Rancho?
Yeah.
And I remember you had, I was like, hey, this is cool. You had like a specific area where you had your tattoo chair, your setup, and I was like, dude, it's like a little tattoo shop inside someone's house. Like, this is legit. Everything was clean, everything, I was like, everything was in bags, and I was like, dude, this guy's legit.
Yeah, definitely frowned upon. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't recommend it to people, but, you know, being a kitchen wizard or anything like that, but it wasn't that. I worked in different shops. I just always had for select individuals or people.
Well, how many years have you been tattooing already?
I've been tattooing for almost 30 years.
Okay, so I think when I first met you, that was the thing that got me, and I was like, dude, this guy looks so young, and he has like over 20 years of experience, and he's tattooing out of his pad, and I was like,
I drink a lot of water.
I was like, dude, that's crazy. I was like, so I think that's really why I trusted. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go. And yeah, sure enough, from the very beginning, like.
Plus, you guys had some bad experiences.
Yeah,
you know?
prior hand. Yeah, I had a tattoo prior that. Yeah, because if you remember, do you remember the first tattoo you did on me?
Which one?
On this arm.
So
the very first one.
The very first one, was it the Kung Fu chick or was it? No.
It was the Shogun, bro.
Oh, it was the Shogun. That's right.
And I was like, all right, I really love this piece. I want to make this a martial arts sleeve.
That's right.
It's all about martial arts and my journey, and so that's what I wanted this to be. And I was like, I want this one. I showed you the picture. You printed it out, and I was like, man, I sure hope it looks good. And sure enough, bro, it was a carbon copy.
I said the same thing. I sure hope this looks good. Like, this better be a good one.
And so I was like, after that, dude, I was like, man. And then not just that, it's the conversation. It was just, you know, like you opened your doors. You know, we met your family. Yeah. And like it was just a conversation, and that's really what got me. It was just
back then too. You know, I had a full-time job. You know, I was in property management. I was doing the corporate thing and but tattooing on the side because it still was like just gaining that speed.
But it's crazy, even with 20 years of experience. Yeah. And I was like, that's crazy. You were so busy. Like you had so many, your hands and so many things, and it's just.
Yeah, I've always been a weird, creative person.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody's like, "Oh, it's ADHD," I'm like, dude, I've had that forever. But I get bored, and I want to start doing stuff. You know, like you, like I want to train, I want to do this, I want to, you know. But yeah, enough about that. No,
it's great because that's where actually our friendship flourished.
Yeah.
After that, you worked on me, and it's just like it wasn't just about the piece.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, how you been? Like, how's everything going? How's life? What you been up to? Mm-hmm. And then that's really where it all came about. And it's just like we started talking about each other's life, and it's just you know, our friendship. And that's what I enjoyed. And you were never like one of those guys like, because we've all seen those like kind of tattoo artists. No hit to anybody out there, but they kind of pay attention to the clock. Right, they're looking at the minutes, they're looking at what's going on. And you never did that. You were always like attentive to the tattoo.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't rush it. You would like if you had a bad feeling, you're like, hey, you know what? Let's do this instead, or let me work on this. Like you were just somebody to be like, all right, I'm gonna take what you gave me and just slap it on there and that's it.
Yeah.
You really care about the people you work on and.
I do. I try to. I do. I mean, you know, I it's not being paid. Mm-hmm. To say that.
No, and then plus,
I really do. Yeah,
I'm a very late person, and Matt's never once snapped at me for being late. And everybody hates me for being late. I've never run on time anywhere.
I think that's where our friendship flourished because we knew, like, you know, let's be honest. There's times where I'm not the most punctual person, and then I became more punctual. And
I still became less punctual. Yeah. You still never held it against me. So.
I don't, man. I think it's cool. Like, you know, if you're late, you're late. Whatever, dude. Now, granted, there's times, you know, I respect everyone's time. You know, and I think that's what it was because with a tattoo, that takes forever. You know, sometimes it takes a long time, and then, you know, you never want to cut into someone else's time.
No, that's true. That's very true.
So I'm just like, oh, okay, you know. But I never had any issues with you being late. You know, Joanna.
I think
Joanna would be like, come on!
My wife's the one that would hate it.
She's very punctual.
She's very, we're yin and yang, so.
Yeah,
very
for
yin
sure.
and yang.
For sure.
So, but that's all it would always be like, all right, man, am I going to be the only person you're working on today? Do we have all night? And like, that's why we get out of here like 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah. No, in some clients, I do have those clients where I know we're gonna talk, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna just stuff like that.
I think it's because we have so much stuff that we like in common.
Yeah.
And then like we just like to riff.
Yep.
And just shoot the shit that it just like.
Well, it's all. We talk about the fight game. We talk about our families. We talk about our dogs.
Yeah.
Like
our dog
everything, you know.
Our fur kids.
The fur babies, you know. And
nephews, nieces, kids.
And food.
And food, yeah.
We talk a lot about food. Yeah. We like food. I think this angle you could tell, but I tried to wear the.
I mean, we're excited right now because today's Taco Tuesday.
Dude, Taco Tuesday. Yes. And right outside that door is Hamilton's Brewery.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hamilton's, and they always have like a new food truck, or they have something coming up. Like tonight is
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, so they have a bunch of.
We're excited for that.
Yeah, because after the break, we're gonna get tacos.
That's right.
And they're good. They're not even like crappy little. They're not crappy little street tacos. You know? Get a quesadilla, get some nice Mexican Coke. It's a good evening. So. But I digress, man. It's been a good time, you know, and you've been a big fight fan and UFC and Pride and I mean Pride
FC, not FC, the Pride, not the new Pride, the old school Pride.
Yeah. You understand. So I had the opportunity to work with. Rampage Jackson, Tito Ortiz.
Oh, that's right.
And do all that. And, again, knowing their careers and following their careers, it's hard to not fangirl out and be like, oh my God!
It's Rampage, slap me!
Yeah,
slap me, come on, punch me!
Yeah, and it's so crazy to see these people and you're like, oh yeah, you're just regular people,
Yeah.
But I think you should come to one of the fights, dude. You should just...
I do, I want to go.
Just come down. Get in the,
I mean, now that, I've been putting in work, I think now as a black belt, which I'll continue the story, but now as a black belt, I want to compete more,
dude. Right?
Because I'm also not just a black belt competitor, but I'm also an instructor. And I mean, I'm a master's division, dude, like, that's not my daily bread, like, I'm a truck driver, I work locally, and I just so happen to fall into that, that's what I do for a living. And so to me, my passion was always jiu-jitsu. It started off as jiu-jitsu.
Competing is great. Everything's cool.
Yeah. Plus it keeps you in shape, so.
Yeah, I'm in shape.
In some shape.
I'm round. That's a shape. I'm too hard on myself. I don't know. Everybody always tells me, dude, you're too hard on yourself.
I think it's good. I think, there's been, I mean, not to take it off topic, but I think there's been like this weird kind of acceptance for like being out of shape.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they call it? They call it like
body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia. I mean, not so much body dysmorphia, but like calling it like letting yourself go is okay, basically. I think that no. I mean, I think honestly, as humans, like if you look at us as physical beings, like we need to be physical. Like you need to have activity. You need to be moving.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we're meant to be like 300 pounds, 5'4". With like diabetes and heart problems, like that's not normal. So I mean, I think it's okay, especially as a man. Like I think
for sure.
Some people might call it toxic masculinity, right? But
let them talk. I mean, because when that whole toxic part comes in, you want the guy that's gonna fucking wreck shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not jacked or anything, but I think being like active and being physical and like doing physical things is important.
But you
as a man,
if you had to. And like, let's just say, push came to shove. And
like life and death?
Yeah, and you had to whoop someone's ass, or you had to do something like save your wife, or protect your wife, or your family members, your niece, your nephew.
100%.
You've got the ability to do that, but see, and it sucks because I tattoo a lot of police officers, and a lot of first responders, and that whole, there's some people that I think physically they should not do that job.
Yeah.
Because... You just see it constantly. They're just always,
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that especially with officers, like law enforcement, they don't get the training they deserve. Like, and it's just...
I think they should get the...
Yeah, I've trained with plenty of law enforcement and deputies, And they you know, they're doing it out of their own pocket. They're going out there, like going to jiu-jitsu gyms. Like, I recommend every officer. I have family members that are officers.
Yeah.
I recommend everybody to come out there and get some type of training, just to learn how to move your body, the mobility behind it, like how it feels to have somebody mount you, put you on side control, take your back, just to feel that type of grip strength, and that type of physicality that it takes to do that.
To get you safe.
Yeah,
you know,
to get you to know what how to move your body and the mechanics behind it. I think it's important. Like, you know.
I agree. How you liking the tattoo so far?
I love it.
Cool.
It's funny you asked me that.
Yeah.
So I have this physical therapist that works with us at our academy. He keeps us up to shape. You know, when we have injuries or just adjustments.
Keeps you in shape?
Yeah, it keeps you in shape. And he pointed out one thing. He's like, if you meant to actually put a face on this wave, so there's two eyes, and then there's a mouth right here.
The nose.
So it kind of looks like it's like roaring in a way or something. It looks pretty crazy. Yeah, he's like, hey, next time you see your friend, ask him.
So the funny thing about that is, I've actually done. I don't mean to do it. It's just like the hidden dick, you know, like. And I say, if you're an artist, you know what I mean when I say the hidden dick. There's the penis has been
like the most mermaid cover.
Yeah, basically, it's been the most recreated image in art and all kinds of stuff. And I guarantee, if I were to look hard enough, just kidding, I'll put it. No, but for some weird reason, and when I'm shading and I'm just going everything organic and just doing stuff like that, you will find faces. And one time I was actually, you could see her episode like long ago, like when we first started Beyond the Ink. I tattooed this huge tree with a sunset and all stuff, and it was meant for her dad.
Oh, I did watch that episode.
Did you watch that? Yeah. And I put a picture of her dad in the tree. I've never met her dad. I never knew her dad. I never
That's crazy.
saw a picture.
That is crazy.
And when she was looking at it in the mirror, she said, have you, like, and brought me a picture. And the even crazier thing was he had a chip in his tooth. And the way I shadowed it, it looked like there was a chip in the tooth. And so I remember doing a side-by-side, or it's on my Instagram, I think, it's also. And she was actually very taken aback and very, like, emotional at that moment. And I was like, no, that's so weird. I've never met him. I never saw a picture.
That's wild.
And she brought in a picture and was like, this is him. But no, I don't ever mean to do, like,
I think
faces.
it's just your art manifesting.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I think it's just you're just focused on what you're doing, and it just
well, it's also shadows and angles and things that, like, because I want to create depth and movement. I want the movement to not look so flat.
I think this all starts in your head, though. That's the thing, though, because this is, I mean, we never pictured it for it to come out like this, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
But it's so awesome the way it's coming out. Like, you know, I've always given you, like, oh, you know, I want the tiger, or the geisha doing the footlock on the demon.
Yeah.
And I'm giving you that, but you add the contrast behind it, the shading, and it looks different. The way it comes out it's a lot different.
I feel like, thank you. I feel like it's one of those things that evolves, you know, with every session and everything. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's the only thing I ever ask really of my clients are patience and trust. That's it. Because trust, knowing that I have, you know, the best intentions of everything to create something that you're going to wear proudly, obviously, for the rest of your life, you know. But I never want somebody I don't want to be that guy that people always say, oh man, I need this cover up because, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or I had this really cool idea, but the tattoo artist gave it to somebody else. You know, like we had talked about that before. Yeah. And that happened to Joanna. You know, this guy, and I'm not putting his name out. I'm not gonna sit there.
Yeah, no, he's just an old friend, and that I mean, honestly, it's crazy because, like I said, fate, right? Yeah. I think that's the way it worked because after that, that's kind of when we started like hitting you up, like, hey, you know, can you work on this? Can you work on this? And then it kind of we gravitated towards you. Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the way it happens. Like you kind of just, you know, you pay attention to the signs and. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. Some people don't, and then they end up with these huge tattoos or pieces that they hate, and they go through life hating this tattoo.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I hate this thing. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, I mean, not for me, but
for them, like,
for
it's
them,
like you have to
like
deal
it
with that.
sucks. And then they come to me, they're like, can you fix this? Can you work on this? Can you do something for me? And I'm like, sure. You know, and I always have that hashtags, better cover-ups than the LAPD. But I enjoy this. And at this point, like, you'll see me bouncing around. I go all this, like this, at this stage of this sleeve, now I'm putting the contrast, now I'm putting the highlights, and I'm doing all this other fun stuff. So it's giving it, again, more,
Just to
more,
pop out.
yeah, more dimension and more, you know, just everything, making her pop out, making the tiger pop out, the waves, you know, look like they're in between the cherry blossoms, and then we add the splash of color, you know, just to give it even more. You're a black belt, you're a truck driver, and a dog father.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My fur babies.
Fur babies. Now you guys just lost one, Little Rocket.
Yeah, last year
Oh, man.
our oldest dog, he was a Dachshund, miniature Dachshund.
Yeah.
And he was
Little wiener on two stilts.
yeah, a little wiener
baby
dog,
stilts.
and we were lucky enough to have him for 15 years. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially because he had like an enlarged heart, and he had like a weird heart murmur
Yeah.
as he got older. But yeah, you know, we're just blessed to be able to have him for 15 years, and I mean,
Ironically, his name was Rocket.
and his name was Rocket. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
a spunky little guy, man.
It's fun, he wasn't your average Dachshund. Like, usually Dachshunds are out there burying, like, you know, like what's called, digging up holes and
Yeah.
rolling around in the mud and, you know, looking for squirrels.
Well,
And,
because they're diggers.
Yeah.
They're by nature, by breed, they're designed to dig and dig.
yeah, and man, he was like a total inside dog. He would dig himself inside the blanket. He didn't like the rain. We would take him to the beach, and he would literally walk like maybe like 100 feet away from us to be away from the ocean, and he would just follow us on the shoreline. Yeah, he was very much a homebody, like, and it's just, he was a funny guy, like, yeah, but yeah, you know, I mean, a lot of people look at it like, oh, they're just dogs, but no,
I don't.
Yeah, for my wife and I, like, that was our baby, and like, he was our baby boy, and we were lucky enough that we had him for 15 years, and just blessed that we gave him a good life, you know. So.
And you have 3 more, right?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
So the way we had Rocket first, right, and then we got Luna, who's a miniature. Well, not a miniature. She's a Dachshund Chihuahua mix. So she's a Chiweenie. As they call them. Yeah. Yeah. Some lady walked into my wife's old job, and she had a box. She had a box of dogs, and she's like, "Is anybody interested in these little puppies? I'm trying to find them homes." And
Really?
yeah. Sure enough, she was a nice little black and tan.
Yeah.
Just like our Dachshund was black and tan, and I was like, "Get her! She's perfect."
Yeah.
So we grabbed her. She's about 8 years old now. And then we have Mars, who's a little one of those little hairy chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Long-haired chihuahuas. She's like, literally, she thinks she's like 100 feet tall. Dude, like, she's the aggressive one. She barks at everything. She's about 5-6 years old now. And then last year, I want to say, not last October, the October before that, we actually rescued a. At first, we didn't know what he was. His name's Inoki. I called him after Inoki, one of the famous pro wrestlers from Japan that I really liked.
Yeah.
He's we found out he's a German Shepherd mixed with like a Basset Hound or like a Dachshund. So just a Dachshund again, you know, it's crazy.
He's a lowrider.
Yeah, German
Shepherd.
It's crazy. Just picture a mini German Shepherd. It's wild.
It's probably one of the craziest things that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's a cute.
Yeah.
Pup, you know, like
his story's crazy because it was my wife's cousin and his wife. They found him off the 10 freeway, not too far. I guess it's Fontana area at Awanda.
Yeah.
Someone left him on the island, and he was just doing circles.
On
right?
the island of the freeway.
Yeah, at the exit ramp.
Yeah.
So they left him there. So I guess they were exiting that street. They seen him, and they just called him, and he came to the car and jumped in. And so they were trying to find him a home at the time, and
I honestly hope there's a special place in hell for people that leave dogs and cats.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too.
Pets and stuff like they're just.
It's sad. It's sad. You know, you hear these stories, and I see them online, and it's just like people that like, you know, they buy these pets, and then a year later, you know, they throw them in the pound, and because they don't have time for them, or they can't take care of them.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that people look at them as just pets instead of family members.
You know, I have friends that say that too, and it's
sad.
whatever, dude, to each his own, you know.
Yeah.
But my dogs and my pets, you know, they're not just pets.
Yeah.
They're like part of my.
Oh yeah, I've gone on record, bro. Like I'll kill somebody if they touch my dog.
Yeah.
I've already said. I mean, I have it right on video now, but that's 100%. Like, I'll go to jail for somebody that tries to hurt my dogs. Like that's the truth.
Like, or even if I see somebody
hurting
a
anybody's
dog,
head.
like, oh, whoop their ass.
Yeah,
like, it's just something that
that's
you
already
don't do that shit.
Yeah, it's a huge red flag, and you gotta step in.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily, like I said, we saw him, and you know they hit us up. They brought him over, and you know I took him on a small walk, and I was like, you know what, we're keeping him. At first, I was very against it. I was like, you know what, we have 3 dogs. One more, like I don't want to, you know, I don't want to have to take more time away from our fur babies already, and he was such a good dog, so obedient, like sit, you know, he'd listen. He was just really active, but that's just a German Shepherd thing. Yeah, and
I'm gonna post a picture. I'm gonna put a picture. He's the oddest.
He's the oddest, but it's crazy because he's such a baby. Like I didn't realize how much of a baby like German Shepherds are, but. Yeah, this guy, like, he loves going on walks. He tells me when he's ready to eat. You know, he sits, he'll listen, he'll wait for me to put the bowl down. And when I tell him to eat, he'll eat it. Like, he has his own little personality, like all my other dogs do. Like, but it's just crazy how much of a baby he is. Like, and he's excited when I get home. He's excited when I put on my shoes. Like, let's go for a walk. He's always excited. Yeah.
I think that's the best feeling though with certain pets. You know. They know when you get home.
Oh yeah.
And it's
like Luna. Luna's the first one I gotta give a kiss.
Yeah.
When I get home.
Yeah.
She starts crying and like she needs a kiss. Mars needs a kiss, and then we have Inoki and he's over there playing with his ball, and then he'll just lay there and wait for me to come and kiss him. Like,
and then Joanne gets a kiss.
And then my wife. No, true story. And then my wife gets a kiss. She's like, I'm always last. I don't know why, but I'm always last.
So it's funny you say that because I bought my wife during COVID. I bought her a dog, little min pin.
Yeah, that's right.
Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus. Yeah.
So Zeus, and little guy, big name. You have to do that. He's little dog, big name, big personality. Well, somehow he has attached himself to me.
That's crazy how that works.
Oh yeah, and he's like, I come home, and I could hear him upstairs jumping.
Oh, he knows.
And he starts to whine, and it's like, my wife gets mad because I've taught him. You know, when I leave the house or I leave or anything, he stands on this little gate and he puts his head up and I go, okay, give me a kiss, and he'll go like a little kiss, you know. But then he turns his head and that's it. He's just saying goodbye, you know. And so being out here, you know, she got mad because she's like, he won't kiss me.
Yeah.
He won't kiss me, and I said, yes, he will. I go, you just have to be patient with him. So I taught her to tell him, give me a kiss. And then just wait. And so then he goes, and he'll give you like a little kiss.
You know, it's crazy, believe it or not, like they know like when you're like, all right, you know, I love you, I trust you. Because that's how I was with Rocket. Rocket was originally my wife's dog.
Yes.
When we first started dating, that was her dog. And when we moved in together, he was staying at my mother-in-law's, but they had him outside. And I was like, dude, like, it's too cold. You know, he's a miniature Dachshund. And we had, like, this weird freeze that was coming in. Like, they were telling you to keep your pets inside.
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, you know what? We got to pick him up. But at first, he hated me. He wouldn't let like, me sitting next to Joe, give me kisses, nothing. Yeah. He would try to bite me. He would nip up at my hands, at my feet. And it took time. But I would just like grab him and I'd give him a kiss and be like, dude, I love you. You're a good dog. Like, you know, I scratch his butt. That was his thing. He'd get that crazy arch.
Yeah. They get the leg that's like.
Yeah, he start shaking, get the crazy little arch going, and out with time, and he'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, when he was alive, I'd come home and I'd be like, hey, give me a kiss, and be like, one little kiss, and
then they're off.
All right, laters.
Yeah, and it's so funny.
They know when it's like, oh, you know, you're my human, like.
Yeah, and so for people to say, oh, your pets, they're just a dog, or it's just a whatever. Dude, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
If you don't think it's bullshit, I don't know. I don't know.
You can probably say that about cats, but dogs. I mean, cats don't care about people.
Cats are a whole different.
No offense. I had a cat before.
No offense to cat lovers.
Yeah, no offense to cats, but it's not the same kind of love and compassion.
No, I agree with you. No, dogs are fantastic.
Yeah, that's why they're man's best friend.
Which is really funny. One of my clients, and she works in the same building that I do at home. Mm-hmm. And she has a Sphinx cat, the hairless cat, who thinks he's a dog. He barks. He fetches.
That's hilarious.
It's so weird, and he's a cat. And her and her husband have videos. They throw the little toy. He takes off, grabs it, comes back, drops it.
That's hilarious.
It's so weird. And I was just like, oh, okay. So you have a cat that thinks he's a dog.
So you have a dog.
But then again, we have dudes that think they're girls, and
that's
sorry, and not whatever. That's a whole different topic in itself, and we won't take that trip because that happens sometimes. Yeah. Moving right along. Yeah, dude, we're tying up all this cool stuff. It's coming along very, very nicely, and.
Well, you know what? That's what I meant to ask you right now. Yes. I was thinking about it. Now that it's looking so dark, what are your thoughts on the all black? Like, people get the all black, that new trend going on.
So the blackout sleeves and the blackout, it's not for me, but that's a lot of carbon going into your body, even more.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and we're carbon based, so it's just a little bit more carbon than I would absolutely want to get. Not to mention, you're really doing a number on your skin. I mean, throughout the years, ink migrates. Your skin is still a very living organism. It's the biggest living organism we have. So it's going to continue to try to push it out. And so you're going to end up with these spots and it's just, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. Now, granted, like we were saying at one point, with Kat Von D.
Yeah, what do you think about? She's like, well, she's a huge face and.
I think she's done it for a long time, and the reason why she did it is different. Like she changed her religion, and she.
Is that why she did it? Is that what it was for?
That's what I heard, that she,
Because she covered up portraits, right? She covered
a lot of things that reminded her of that particular time, which she wasn't exactly proud of or happy with, or so she just blackened it out. And unpopular opinion, I think she's a really beautiful woman. A lot of people go, oh, how could you say that? I mean, it's a weird dynamic, but I think she knows who she is. So there's nothing wrong with being you. Now, personally, again, I wouldn't do the full blackout. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I find it very interesting. Like it became a trend. Like you see it everywhere now.
Yeah, just like anything. I thought my trash can was over here, but it's actually right over there. Just out of all curiosity, and then for folks out there that when we're here, we're doing this, we're talking, we're having a good time. Does it hurt less?
What do you mean?
Does this hurt less? By being on camera and being distracted and being like typically when you sit, we've sat through obviously sessions without, but I was told recently by some people that I've interviewed and mind you, that we'll do like 3 or 4 or like an hour's or hour and a half worth of takes, like 20-minute intervals or anything else through both cameras, and people say when they're on camera and they're talking and they're not feeling the sensitive areas as much.
I have a weird pain threshold.
True.
So like I don't think I've ever. I mean, have you ever seen me like really kind of wince?
No. That's what I'm saying.
So for me, I think it just gets my mind off the tattoo itself.
Yeah.
Because we're talking, conversating, and I'm probably giving you my opinion, or I'm going in depth on a certain topic. So yeah, maybe I could see where some people are probably like it distracts their mind. to where they're not really focused on what's going on at hand.
Yeah.
So I can see that. Yeah. But for me, like, I don't think I've, I have a weird thing. Like, I find this very therapeutic.
I do too.
So.
Okay, again, there are that general circle.
Yeah, I'm weird like that. But like I said, I
yeah.
also train jiu-jitsu where I allow other men to strangle me until either passing out or almost passing out.
I just use chloroform. Way easier.
Yeah,
How's this smell?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm the kind of guy that goes to a massage therapist and asks for deep tissue. So
yeah.
So
dude,
like,
you've come in here before with like those cups, that
the
cupping and everything,
yeah.
and it's just
the
been
microblading and it's just
it's just insane. But
I myself, I think I hold a lot of like tension in my muscles, so like I need that. So there's like a weird sign, like that's very relaxing right now.
Yeah. Well, you're also married, so. Just kidding, Joe. I'm playing. You're a good person. No. No, you reach a certain level of in your marriage that tends to make you numb to said events, and you have to feel something. And this needle,
I gotta feel alive.
I gotta do it, man. No, it's cool, dude. I like doing this. I know people have told me, they're like, Matt, you're onto something. Like, this is something that people don't do. And I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and again, COVID almost killed it. Yeah. And now I brought it back.
I think what's cool about this whole thing about what you do, like how you're doing the video and the audio, the podcast, and I think what's cool about it is that you're giving everybody an opportunity to tell their story. Yes. And that's what a lot of people don't get. Like, there's so many. I feel in this day and age with social media, like, everybody has a voice, so everybody wants to put their opinion out there. Yeah. But it's never about their life. It's never about their story, about what got them to where they're at. And I think with your podcast, especially with you doing it with people that people that you feel comfortable with, because they feel the same way about you, like myself with you, like I have a friendship with you, Yeah. So like, of course, when you told me, I was like, heck yeah, let's do this.
And I literally told him, like,
today,
a few hours ago.
Today, I was like, heck yeah, let's do it, bro. I mean, I don't have anything planned. I was like, but I don't have any notes or anything. I'm gonna go. Yeah. I'm gonna just shoot the shit, and
this is all organic. This is what we do. Yeah.
But for the most part, this is what our conversations are like. So.
Yeah. This is basically what we do. Yeah. And it's pretty much what I've done with. This is how I do it. And it's all organic. It's nothing special. Nothing. We don't rehearse, or we haven't said. I might say, okay, hold that thought, and then hit the record buttons. Other than that, I mean.
But yeah, I think you give people a voice to like tell their story, and mine's probably pretty boring, but just pretty plain, simple guy. Yeah. But I've heard some of the stories that you have on here, and it's just like it's crazy. It's crazy that this person went through that. Area in their life, or that this person had to go through that struggle. Yeah. And it's interesting to listen to. Like it really motivates you as a person to have, I guess, like not sympathy, but have an understanding of others. Yeah. So I think empathy. Empathy. Yeah. So and I think that's important as human beings. Like we one way to respect each other is having empathy for each other.
I think we're losing that as a society in a whole. Yeah. And I do tend to think that once you see that people are going through the same thing that you're going through, and not necessarily under the needle, but I've had clients, and I told you this earlier, I've had clients that would listen to one of my clients from California, and they're in Texas, or they're in New York, or they're, and they're just like, Matt, their story resonated with me. Like, I really feel better, or I feel like I know this person. And that's, again, what you just said. Yeah. I want to give people an opportunity to say, hey, I was bullied as a kid. Yeah. Maybe I'll try jiu-jitsu. Maybe I'll try, something to keep me going. And I think that's
even if you were bullied, everyone should try jiu-jitsu.
Oh, 100%.
You don't have to be a world champ. Everybody should try. Everybody should know how to defend themselves.
I agree.
That's number one.
I agree.
I mean, it's cool to talk things over, and that's important too. How to be civil.
Conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution. Yep. Yes. But there comes to a point where the best way I ever heard it put was by House Gracie. He said, one day somebody's gonna get in your face, and you're gonna have to choke a motherfucker out. And that's the best way to put it, because it happens.
Yeah.
There's gonna be people sometimes that want to push come to shove, and it's better to know than to not know. You know,
Exactly.
That's another quote that I know. Miyamoto Musashi, famous swordsman from Japan. He would say it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. I'm not saying you have to be a world champ. I'm not saying you have to be a black belt. I'm just saying that it's important to be proficient in how to defend
And
yourself.
know how to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Defend yourself and or your family.
Yeah, or your family, yeah. And like you say, I think we live in a civilization where nowadays you're kind of, people are losing that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why you see so much of like the uprising crime and people getting mugged and
Just the blatant disrespect.
that blatant disrespect, of people, you know?
I think it sucks, but at the same time, it's like, So, well, brother, I appreciate you being on this journey that I'm going on and letting me do this.
Heck yeah. Well, we're not done here.
Oh,
This
no.
is the whole body.
No, we're gonna continue some more. But
I might try to get you to tattoo my booty hole or something, but hey, that's a whole different topic.
yeah, I
The
want
chakras. I want all the chakras,
Yeah,
bro.
the chakra starts from here to here to here to there.
To the taint.
So I don't know if I'm gonna go that far, but if you, and I'm speaking to you now, have a good story, or you want to be on Beyond the Ink, you have a good tattoo idea, and you don't mind cameras, and you don't mind me talking and being winded and whatnot, comment down below, share, like, smash that subscribe button. I appreciate all of my subscribers and people that, and appreciate my clients who become friends, who I create these relationships with. And if you want to be on Beyond the Ink, or if you know of anybody that would like to support the channel as well, I'm thinking about a Patreon. I'm thinking about moving in, because I'd like to make this bigger. I'd like to create something more. And if that means I have to tattoo butt naked in an apron, I'm kidding, but no, I mean,
Hey.
Yeah, comment down below. Let me know what you think.
Speaking of pride.
Speaking of, so we're gonna go get some tacos and wrap this up and do all this good stuff. But thank you for watching. If you're still with us, thank you again for your support. Thanks for that like. Thanks for the subscription. Like, share. Let us know how you are, and tune in next time for another episode of Beyond the Ink.
Yeah, go train.
And train.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.